It actually happened. Per data from the NPD group, Nintendo Switch, including Nintendo Switch Lite, was the top-selling game console in the United States for the month of November, selling more than 1.35 million units, spurred by the likes of Black Friday sales and a Switch Mario Kart 8 bundle. That means Nintendo Switch has been the top-selling US console for 24 consecutive months, an incredible and record-breaking achievement. Additionally, this year Nintendo has sold 6.92 million Nintendo Switch units in the US so far, which is already over 426,000 more units that was sold in the entirety of 2019. And of course, this month still remains to play out. Of course, what makes this so impressive is that the PlayStation 5 and Series X consoles released in November. Seriously, I bet Nintendo is feeling on top of the world right now. Although it's really important to point out that the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S have sold out instantly everywhere that they appear. And if supply constraints weren't so bad with Series X and PlayStation 5, it's likely that they would have outsold Switch last month. But it's still a really impressive feat that Nintendo was able to stay on top even with these new consoles launching. The question is, what's next for Nintendo? I think it's pretty obvious that Nintendo had planned on announcing some of its bigger games this year, but they decided to hold off until, this whole global pandemic thing comes to an end, which I'm not sure how long that will be from now, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Nintendo Direct in January of next year, which is just next month. And I've made videos on this in the past, and I figured I would just throw it out here again. I wouldn't be surprised if a new Nintendo Switch is revealed in January, and then releases in March. It's right after the holiday season when pretty much all Switches are going to be selling out, especially with that bundle. Nintendo is no stranger to launching a console in March. If you remember, that's actually when the Switch launched, which is a little out of the ordinary. Typically, a new console will launch in November, and then they'll have that big holiday push. With Switch, however, they found major success launching in March away from the other guys who would possibly be launching their consoles, and doing a big marketing push with a major launch title. Like I've mentioned in my previous videos, Nintendo basically had two moments to shine in 1 year. The launch of the console with Breath of the Wild, and then the big holiday season with Mario Odyssey. And trust me, I know it sounds crazy, me thinking that a new console might launch as early as March, but think about it. The Switch Lite was revealed in July and then launched in September, only 2 months after its announcement. The Switch Pro, or whatever it's called, could do the same thing, have an announcement in January and then 2 months later launch in March. And what game do we know is coming in March that would be a huge exclusive launch title? Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter is a massive series, and some people don't actually realize that. Monster Hunter is Capcom's biggest franchise, bigger than Resident Evil, bigger than Devil May Cry. Monster Hunter World is Capcom's highest selling game of all time, and this is basically a follow-up to that game exclusively on Nintendo Switch. So with the Switch Lite being revealed in July and then launching in September, and Nintendo seeing success launching in March in the past, on top of Monster Hunter Rise coming out in March, I seriously still have hope that we might be getting a Switch Pro or whatever the name is going to be next month in January, and then a launch in March. And if a new Switch iteration doesn't come out in March, I really wouldn't be surprised if it comes out holiday 2021. It just makes sense. The original Switch hardware from 2017 is starting to feel a little bit dated. Not that I think the next Switch is going to be like this 4K machine. I honestly just think it's going to be like a very minor upgrade that just plays games a little better, like plays Age of Calamity without all those frame rate issues. But even if we don't see another Switch launch next year, it still looks like a really great year for Nintendo. Let's just go over the major exclusives that are probably coming out next year in 2021. First off, Bayonetta 3 was announced all the way back in 2017, and we still haven't seen anything since then, but I have hope that this is the year. This is the year we'll finally see Bayonetta again, hopefully around E3 time, and then maybe a launch in October or November. I think that would be a sweet spot for Bayonetta 3. Aside from that, we got Bravely Default 2, which was originally supposed to come out this year, but it was delayed till 2021. That game looks like it's shaping up to be really awesome. I had fun with the demo, and I'm excited to play the full release. Then there's the huge possibility that we get Breath of the Wild 2 next year, which goes with my plan if Nintendo launched the Switch Pro in March with Monster Hunter Rise, and then holiday season launched Breath of the Wild 2. It would be very reminiscent of the Nintendo Switch's first year, with Breath of the Wild at launch and then Mario Odyssey in the holiday season. I really hope Breath of the Wild 2 comes out next year. That would really just be icing on the cake. Of course, there's still a small possibility that Metroid Prime 4 comes out next year, but I am not holding my breath for that one. As you know, back in January of 2019, Nintendo announced that Retro Studios, the original developer of the Metroid Prime trilogy, was rebooting development entirely and starting from scratch. So I'm not sure if they would already be finished with this game, but hopefully we get some type of tease in the near future. I would love to see what this game looks like in terms of its art style, what type of gameplay changes it's going to be implementing. I'm just really happy Nintendo didn't outright cancel this game. I'm happy it's still happening. As I mentioned before, Monster Hunter Rise is coming March 26 on Nintendo Switch, so that'll be really cool, and I don't really have anything else to say about it since I talked about it before. We also have another Monster Hunter game, Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin. This is a spin-off series, and this game looks absolutely stunning. I love the art style of this. I cannot wait to play this. Monster Hunter Stories 1 was really cool. Then we have No More Heroes 3, which I might be looking forward to the most out of all of these aside from Bayonetta 3. I love this series so much. Cannot wait to see what Suda has planned for this game. The story so far seems so wacky, and I am in. And I'm sure you've heard that Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is coming February 12th to Nintendo Switch. That's the original 3D World that launched on Wii U with some bonus content called Bowser's Fury. I'm excited for people to play this game for the first time. I think it's one of the few 3D Mario games that didn't get a lot of attention, and I'm just happy that it's getting another chance on Nintendo Switch. And lastly, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is possibly coming out in 2021. We still haven't seen much on this game, unfortunately, and for me, this will actually be the first Shin Megami Tensei game that I play. I'm a big fan of Atlus's other RPG series, and I decided, hell, I'm just going to wait for this brand new one to jump in for the first time. And I'm sure there are more big exclusive games for Switch coming next year that I'm forgetting, so be sure to list them in the comments below. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up, guys. Nintendo Switch, the highest selling console of November. It's pretty impressive considering PS5 and Series X came out, but of course, we know it's because of supply constraints. If those things would have been rightly available for everybody, I'm sure they would have outsold Switch. But good for Nintendo, you know, 24 consecutive months in the US, the highest selling game console. That's pretty awesome. And aside from that, we got a solid 2021 coming. I'm hoping a lot of these games don't slip to 2022, because I really want to get my hands on games like Bayonetta 3, No More Heroes, and of course, Breath of the Wild 2. Be sure to let me know everything you think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you didn't, hit that thumbs down. And if you're feeling really generous, hit that subscribe button and maybe even that notifications bell. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. See ya.